for some reason. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Chocolate Life Live. My name is Clay Gordon. I'm the creator and the moderator of TheChocolateLife.com, and I'm going to be your host today for a special program. We're going to be announcing the winners of the 2023 Craft Chocolate Challenge, and joining me are a bunch of special guests, including Dustin Cornett, who's the organizer of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. We have Kjell from Fjorden Chocolat in Norway, and then Maureen of Moku Chocolate here in the United States. They're joining because they've been told that they've won an award, but they don't know what that award is quite yet. So Dustin, I'm going to do a quick reminder to everybody, which is if you're watching, please let us know where you're connecting from, and I can get it up on screen. So for example, Mark and Yuri of Blue Spruce Chocolate from sunny Colorado have joined us today. So let us know where you're connecting from. And if you have questions about the awards or for our winners, also throw them into the comments. We'll get them up on screen. We'll get the questions asked and answered. Right. And with that, Dustin, let's jump in. Why the Craft Chocolate Challenge? You know, what is it that you wanted to do with this awards program? Because you have an inn called Chocolat Inn, and you're also a craft chocolate maker. What's this all about?
Yes, so basically, I entered contests as a chocolate maker, and I wanted to know where I was at, and I needed feedback to understand that. I'm not in a situation where I can go hang out with a bunch of other chocolate makers and network like that. So I was really dependent on what are these judges think about my chocolate, but I didn't get enough of a response to be able to do anything about it. Sometimes I won something, sometimes I didn't win anything, but there was really no rhyme or reason for any of it. So I didn't really know how to make better chocolate. So I thought there's probably a lot of other chocolate makers in the world, especially since this industry is seemingly booming, in the same position that I am in. So I thought I could help everybody out by creating a challenge that was primarily heavy in feedback, but also a fun competition, a way to entice small makers to see where they're at and see if they want to get in bigger competitions that actually have fees. Ours is free, so it gives somebody a chance to test out a new product or see where they're at and kind of figure out where they want to go with it. So that's really why I started it.
So let me jump in there. You know, people who have been regular participants in the Chocolate Life Live know that I am a firm believer if you're not having fun, you're in the wrong, you're on the business. And so yeah, I firmly believe that making chocolate should be fun, sharing chocolate should be fun. And so the idea of having a competition that is fun is one of the things that attracted me when you reached out to me and said, hey, Clay, you know, what are your thoughts about helping out with this? But I want to focus on another aspect of this, which is actually a community aspect, right? And that's one of the reasons why we're doing what it is that we're doing is, you know, we're bringing people who are participants in the competition, right, to create community, right? So if I'm, for example, if I participate, for example, in the Academy of Chocolate Awards, there's no, you know, they just announce the winners, right? And there's no community associated with this. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask Maureen and Kjell what their thoughts are about, you know, the nature of this competition and how it's the same and different from other competitions they might enter, what they're looking for. And Maureen, because you were participated in last year's, I think you were the big winner. Moku was the big winner in last year's competition. What it meant for you, the feedback that you got, and how it's been a part of what you're doing. So I'm going to let you think about that a little bit, Maureen, and say, Kjell, what about for you?
Well, what attracted me to this competition was basically the fundamental that it's based on good feedback from the judges, and there's quite a few judges, and obviously also because I'm quite new in the business, it was also focused on people who are not necessarily been participating in the big competitions for years and years, and it was just the whole concept of it really attracted my attention.
And for you, Maureen, because you were a participant last year, you made it. You again made it into the finalists this year. How was I don't know if Moku has entered other competitions or won awards in other competitions. I wasn't paying attention. I probably should have. What are your thoughts about this as well?
Yeah, well, I had entered into one competition before I had actually started selling bars. It was kind of just on a whim, and it was the International Chocolate Competition, and I won a gold for my goat milk bar. And so that was awesome. I mean, that I was kind of beginning, and so it gave me confidence, and I knew that entering contests was kind of a way to get some feedback and some validation. And what I liked about Dustin's contest is that he was doing something new. And as a new person in a field where it seems like there are these established competitions and there's kind of the big boys who stand out and people know each other, I love that he just kind of had the guts to create something new. And I wanted to be part of that. And it's been great because, Dustin and I have just gotten to know each other a little bit, exchanging emails, like what's the worst feedback you ever got? And, stuff like that. So it's definitely that community, building that community.
So absolutely. I mean, for me as a judge, one of the things that separates my participation in this competition, not only one is that Dustin reached out to me and said, "Hey, Clay, I know that you have been involved in other competitions." I was, in fact, on the committee that determined what good meant in both the chocolate and confectionery category at the Good Food Awards, and was a judge in the confectionery competition for 2 years there. So I was able to bring an understanding. I've been a judge at the International Chocolate Awards. I was the head judge at a bunch of other things. So, working with Dustin to help him fine tune some of the things that I saw that might make this a much more interesting competition for the participants, because in the end, I think I can speak. I hope I can speak for you, Dustin. I mean, our goal is to celebrate the diversity that is craft chocolate, right? Yes. And we have to make it interesting and valuable and fun for you, right, to participate in, to deliver value for you. Because if we're not delivering value for you, then why participate? Dustin, I mean, you're a chocolate maker, right? And you're the head of this thing. So obviously you're not entering your bars into this competition, right? So how valuable, I mean, you get to taste all the bars, right? You're a judge, I believe, as well, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right? And you get to, you're in this privileged position of being able to see all the feedback, right? That, that sounds like a really, really fun place to be for you as well.
Yeah, I can't complain about that at all. So I'm not able to enter my bars, but I still can get some valuable information from the judges and perspective from my own, and kind of figure out where I am based on, who's winning, and, like, would I win my own contest? Probably not. This year, probably not. So
I want to let you know. I want to let you know that when Dustin sent me the collection of bars to review, and this year there were 46 bars from 20 companies that were entered, and there was about a week to do all the judging, which sounds like a lot of time, and it is a lot of time compared with many other competitions where the judging is done in person. We've been doing this by remote for the last couple of years, and so we might have 2 weeks or 3 weeks to do what we would normally have to do in 2 to 3 days. So I have somewhere near me, I know where it is, they're over there. I have 4 Dustin bars that he sent me, right, that I'm supposed to go and provide my feedback on. And I've been a little bit delinquent. I wanted to get through today in order to do that. And with that, I want to recognize a couple of people. So we have Ella Schneider, who's joining us from Rhode Island. Ella, I don't know if you know this. I don't know where you are in Rhode Island, But I used to live in Providence. I went to Rhode Island School of Design. I have very, very fond memories. I have family who live in Warwick, excuse me. And so I have very, very fond memories of the 3 years or so I spent in Rhode Island. I moved to New York City once I got done and then we also have Katrina. Katrina is joining us from Nashua, New Hampshire, and N-Bar Chocolate. Now, for people who don't know New Hampshire at all, it is home to the coldest place in the continental United States, Mount Washington. And I understand it was minus 108 degrees Fahrenheit in Mount Washington earlier. I just want to say, is this Leon from Kesho, right, who's joined us? So thank you for joining us. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And with that, Dustin, let us go. Hello, everyone. Let us go and start the program. So let's go this way. So Dustin,
Yes.
let's begin. So Leon, we'll get to you very, very shortly. I want to say we've also been joined by Kobe Goodwin. Kobe has a business called Slow Cocoa, who was an entrant in this year's competition from the Bronx in New York. Sherry is connecting from Calgary in Canada. And then we have the good folks, I'm assuming it's Mike from Encore Coffee in Missouri. So with that, Dustin, where do you want to, let's get the show on the road, okay?
Yeah, it's an exciting day. So season 2 of the Craft Chocolate Challenge Awards. We'll start with the inclusion category and then go white chocolate, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and then top overall. And Clay, you can take it away with the inclusions if you would like.
Absolutely. And so the first reveal is bronze in the inclusion category, which goes to, right? Oh, I will do the announcement. It goes to.
Yeah.
Listen, you know, we had a chance to talk about this for a couple of seconds before we started. This is the first time we've done it. We're figuring it out as we go. But the winner in the inclusions category at the bronze level is Moku Chocolate for their orange zest bar. It's a 70% dark using beans from Bajofo Estate in Madagascar. And Maureen, you're here with us today. So please tell us a little bit about the bar. And what you were hoping to achieve, and you know how it fits into everything else that that Moku does.
Sure. This is my first inclusion bar. I've kind of focused on just dark chocolate and single origin, but this is a flavor combination that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Introduced to me by my dad, was his favorite flavor combo, and so that's kind of how that came about. It was inspired by the zesty citrusness of the Madagascar beans. And then I candy the orange peel so they're crunchy, because I love a little crunch in my chocolate. And so you get that little surprise at the end.
So I think, Maureen, when you get the feedback, I mean, it's certainly something I think that I mentioned is about the texture of the candied orange peel. I mean, which is something that I really love in it. And I personally, as a judge, got the balance of flavor between the natural citrus of the Madagascar chocolate and the inclusion. Dustin, do you have anything you've seen all the feedback?
Yeah, so I didn't go through all of the feedback. Getting ready for Valentine's myself, so I haven't been able to read over everybody's. But yeah, so obviously it's a winner. Most people enjoyed it. I enjoyed it myself too. I really liked what she did with the Madagascar, the chocolate itself. I have a 70% Madagascar bar as well. I just love Moku's texture. The texture of her chocolate is just amazing, and that's what draws me to it a lot. So,
okay. So great. So from there, we're going to go to the silver award in the inclusions category, and that goes to Kesho for their wine-infused nibs, a 70% dark chocolate using beans from Semiliki Forest in Uganda. And what I want to do is, all right, interesting. No, it's just this is an interesting platform. So Kesho, you're here. I just got a notice that says for some reason we have not been live on LinkedIn for the last 10 minutes, and so that's been sad. So hopefully we'll have more people joining us. Anyway, Leon, welcome
Hi.
to the awards presentation. Can you so Kesho, is it headquartered in China?
Yeah, we are based. We are a bean to bar chocolate brand founded in Shanghai, China, and we are just about to launch our brand in the States this year, in Austin, Texas. So we have been. So Casio is a Japanese word meaning crystal. So we want to bring interesting Asian flavors with bean to bar chocolate, and also try to use some like craft beans from African countries and also locally sourced in China.
So for me, absolutely, this was one thing that really interested me, and as a judge, to some extent, we're sad that not everything can win, but this was the first time I'd had an opportunity to taste the chocolate bar using Hainanese cocoa. So we know that China is a new origin, a new producing country, but it's not something which is very commonly available here in the United States. One of the things that I want to ask is, what do you think of the cocoa that is grown in China? Where are they compared with the other countries that you work with?
So the cacao beans we used, not in this bar, but we also have other entries using locally sourced cacao beans. So it's in there's a southern island in China. It's called Hainan province. I think it's a young region. It's at the very early stage where people are still trying to sort out different types of cacao beans. And right now, what we are using could be a combination of various types of cacao beans. But we work with a small team fermenting the cacao beans according to tailored to ourselves. The amount of output every year is still very small, so it's very hard for us to get enough beans to make into at high quality to make into chocolate every year. The price has been going up a lot. I hope more people can go down to Tainan to grow cacao trees, and then let more high quality Hainan beans can get onto the market and let people try the unique flavor of it.
Yeah, I am intrigued as well. I mean, having an entirely new producing country become means that there's perhaps an entirely new flavor palette which can join us. So I'm really looking forward to doing that, to seeing new entries using Chinese cocoa going forward. I have been to Shanghai. It's the only place that I've been in China. A fascinating city. I had a great time when I was there. Interesting food choices, especially the street food, as I recall. So I want to go to the final winner in the inclusions category, and that is Blue Spruce Chocolates. So Mark and Yuri, who are watching the live stream, congratulations to the two of you. You've provided a video. We're gonna play it later on. But what I wanted to know is that this is a white. It's a caramelized white chocolate with roasted hazelnuts in it, and I believe that this particular bar uses a sugar that I introduced them to. There's a protected designation of origin, a GI sugar. GI being a geographic indicator, not gastrointestinal, but a GI indicator sugar to the Netherlands, which is called bastard suiker, which is a sugar which has got an invert sugar component in it. So it adds an interesting mouthfeel and interesting flavor to what it is that goes on. So just a really interesting texture. Dustin, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so this is a great bar. Keisho's bar was great too. Just things were so close. It's amazing how this competition works and how things can be so close, and how many bars we have compared to bigger competitions that have thousands. So it's really fascinating to see this bar. When we were doing some of the in-person tasting, it's like people eat this and you could just hear them. It's just a really delicious chocolate bar. A little sweetness, but those hazelnuts crunch in at the end to make it really balanced too. It was just a superb chocolate bar.
Great. I want to take a quick note before we jump into the next category, which is going to be white chocolate, to give a quick shout out to Chris, who from International Chocolate Girl in Nashville, Tennessee, who is one of the judges this year. So Chris, thanks for joining the live stream. Appreciate it. If you want to throw something into the comments about some bar that we talk about, please feel free to go ahead. We have Atis Inca, who's here from Choco Alta in Basque Country, France, a lovely part of the country, and also Diane from Zise Chocolate in Irvine, California, and Tandy from Embers Chocolate. So welcome everybody to the live stream today. So, all right, Dustin, I'm going to let you announce the next 3 winners if you can.
All right.
So we're going to the white chocolate category.
All right. The white chocolate is the French latte bar from Mousy. They are the second, entering for the second time. They entered last year as well and took home a silver in the milk category. And then this year they have a bronze in the white chocolate category. And the coffee entries were kind of high in this category, so they, kind of edged out some there. So pretty impressive with what they're doing there, and excited to have them back into the contest. And congratulations on that.
Great. And so I understand that Mousy, they're from India. Is that correct?
Michigan.
Michigan. All right. All right. Well.
They are from Michigan.
My memory is not exactly what I remember it to be.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna yes, and we're gonna go from there into the silver category, into the silver. So
yeah, this was another one of the winner for the white chocolate silver is Embers Chocolate for Dreams of Thailand, and this was one of those bars too in person that as soon as people got it in their mouth and they could get some of those flavors out, were just they were like loving this bar. It was really creamy, and there's just something really inviting about this bar that just really struck notes for everybody for the in-person that I could see. I'll try to watch the judges. I judge the judges, and I'm judging the chocolate, right? So yeah, this was a really nice bar. Embers always does interesting flavor profiles, combinations. And this one really, really brought it home.
So I know Tandy is watching. She's part of the live stream, but she submitted a video for us, and let's go watch her video submission.
Hello, my name is Tandy Peterson, and I am the founder of Embers Chocolate, and I'm here to talk about my inspiration, how I got started, and of course, the Dreaming of Thailand bar. So I've been a chef for about 13 years, and I just started making chocolate randomly because I wanted to work with a product that I'd never worked before, and I fell in love with flavor combinations and how you could work through different types of chocolate from different regions, and then the different flavors that were present in that, and how it was so similar to coffee with it, which I'm also obsessed with. And then taking that a step further into the chef realm, where I can use some of those flavors and use them like ingredients in food and make actual dishes out of it. So one of my bars, I do like Mexican street corn, which is my elote bar. And the inspiration for the Dreaming of Thailand bar actually came when I was discussing with a friend talking about a cocktail. He had done a white chocolate wasabi cocktail, and I looked at it and was like, oh my gosh, that would make an incredible white chocolate. So I started experimenting. So I had a kaffir, lime, and ginger based cocoa butter that I had made earlier, and I used that as a base, and I wanted to keep it vegan because most like Thai curries or anything like that are kind of vegan because of the coconut milk instead of everything else. And it just went from there. So I did the ground some oats and pistachios into the base with a little bit of coconut and matcha and then wasabi, because I wanted to kind of create a little bit of a tom kha soup essence along with a Thai curry, but without it being super spicy. So the wasabi gave this really cool kind of background heat and like a little bit of dryness. And as I started creating the bar, I fell in love with it. And the texture is really, really cool. It's this bright kind of green color. I don't know if you can get a good look at that because of the wasabi and the matcha in it. But the flavors are very much like coconut dessert, but Thai curry. It kind of hits all the sides of it. So I look for a lot of inspiration in my favorite foods and when I travel. So I obviously have been wanting to go to Thailand for years because they have great chocolate along with the amazing food. So it became kind of a love project of dreaming of Thailand. So I hope you enjoy it.
And I think, Dustin, what we can say is that,
People enjoyed it.
The judges really,
Yes.
really enjoyed it.
So it's one of those, like, we kind of, when doing the in-person, we'd look at the ingredients, we'd kind of look at the packaging before like diving into it. And the whole wasabi thing was like, I don't know about the wasabi. So people were going into it thinking about that, which is like, I have experience eating her chocolate. So it's like, you just have to trust the chef, just trust the chef. And yeah, just how it combined and went together. It was really nice bar.
Great. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Thai food, and the textural and flavor components of this were incredibly well balanced. It was just an enjoyable bar. And then finally, the last winner in the white chocolate category is.
Yep. The gold is the Gansett Craft Chocolate, the Rhode Island Coffee Milk, which, as I mentioned before, there were several coffee bars. So this was going against other coffee bars and everything else in the white category. It stood out. The creaminess of it was nice. The coffee wasn't too overpowering, but it was enough to enjoy coffee. One of those things about coffee is if you don't like it, you don't like it, So it's really difficult to figure out how do you get people to enjoy a chocolate bar with coffee in it if they don't like coffee. And there was a few of the judges that are not big fans of coffee, but did enjoy this chocolate bar. So,
as a judge, it is a challenge because what you have to do is you have to step back and balance what your preferences are from an understanding of, like, is this a well-made example of what it is that we're trying to do? I mean, I spent 3 years in Rhode Island. I know what coffee milk tastes like. And what I wanted to say is that the people at Gansett had provided us with a video of their making this particular bar. So let's watch that now. So watching that video just makes me want to go and wish that I actually hadn't eaten the entire bar already. I want to go and do it. Go in and
I want them to make an ice cream version. I was like, thinking about ice cream there. I was like, make some ice cream with their coffee chocolate in it. Oh yes.
Yeah, completely. I mean, and for those of us who make chocolate, I mean, the entire process is completely understandable. But for people who might be watching this, for whom making chocolate is not something that they have firsthand experience, actually seeing all of the steps that go into producing an award-winning bar is interesting for people. And the production values of this are just really, really incredible. And so I want to thank the people at Gansett for producing that for us. Judging the next category, let's jump into, which is the milk chocolate category. And in the milk chocolate category, the bronze is Encore Coffee Company from Kansas City, Missouri, a 50% milk using beans from Cocoa Kamili in Tanzania. And one of the things I can tell people is that this particular origin, so not just Tanzania, but Cocoa Kamili beans from Tanzania, was the origin that won, that was present in more entries than any other single origin. Am I remembering that correctly, Dustin?
Yeah, it's a very popular origin, and Amalfi, I think, uses it maybe exclusively for their beans and their entries. So we got to taste a lot of different makers and how they use this bean, and it's really interesting because different chocolate makers can get different flavors out of it, and then some of them use different sugars, or some of them use, in this case, different milk powders. And different conch times, different ways of roasting. Is really interesting to see that. So one thing I can appreciate as a judge and a chocolate maker is definitely getting to experience that. And Encore did a great job with this bar.
So I know that Mike is watching, but they've also produced a video, and so let's watch their video about this.
Hello, I'm Mike King from Encore Coffee Company. We are a specialty coffee and cacao roaster based in Grandview, Missouri, which is a suburb of Kansas City. I've been roasting specialty coffee commercially for the last 7 years and was a hobby roaster prior to that. In 2022, we decided to add craft chocolate to our product lineup. We wanted to remain quality focused and started off evaluating 8 different origins of chocolate. We roasted each and made batches of dark and milk chocolate. From those origins, we narrowed it down to 3, which is what we ended up launching with last fall. Our milk chocolate is made from cacao and cocoa butter from Tanzania, specifically the Cocoa Kamili fermentor. We use organic cane sugar from Brazil's Green Cane Project, and our organic A2 powdered milk is from Alexander Family Farms, based in California. You'll see on all of our chocolates we only use artisan and clean ingredients. We currently are offering 3 single origin dark chocolate bars, our milk chocolate bar, and then we have 2 seasonal offerings. You can purchase those online through our website and in our retail roasting location here in Grandview. So that's a little bit about me and Encore. I want to extend a big thank you to all those that involved in this competition. Special thanks to Dustin for organizing the competition, all the judges that spent time tasting and evaluating chocolates, and Clay for promoting this competition. So thank you and have a great day.
All right. Well, thanks to Mike for that. And I just want to say it's been a pleasure and a privilege. I mean, I've enjoyed being a part of this competition, I think, more than I enjoyed any other competition I've been a part of. And promoting it using the Chocolate Life as a platform to be able to promote that has been, again, a pleasure and a privilege. Before we jump into the next winner, what I want to do is acknowledge a couple of people who've joined. Tandy from members is just thank you. Tandy, thank you for participating. You're not here today without your participation. Dustin, opened this up to the world, and people have joined. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you think of the feedback from all of the judges. We have Auscho, who's connecting from Taipei in Taiwan. I don't know what time it is, except it's maybe in the middle of the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So thank you for being there today. Chris, who's a judge, says, yes, Dustin, love the ice cream idea. Love the ice. So coffee milk ice cream. Just I gotta love that idea.
Get on that for the summer, please.
Right. So
I'll come to Rhode Island.
Ella, who is from Gansett, just says thanks for the award. And the craft challenge has been so fun and friendly. Dustin, I think that's, as we discussed in the very beginning, that's one of the goals of putting a face on the competition and making it fun and making it friendly and growing a community around the competition, I think, has been a really important part of it. I'm hoping, again, I have family in Rhode Island. I hope to be up that way fairly soon. Perhaps I'll get a chance to drop by and say hello. And Tandy's wants to also reward Gansett on the video production and says that he is salivating. So what I will do is I will say that one of the things that each of us can do to support the craft chocolate community is commit to purchasing 50 bars from 50 makers. This is 23. Every week, we're going to buy one new bar, each from a new maker, and we can support the other people who are part of the competition by the purchase of bars. But what we're also doing is we're learning. We're tasting what other people are doing, perhaps with the same ingredients, perhaps with the same cocoa beans, and it's just a really huge source of inspiration. And so that's something that I would recommend that everybody go and do. And then finally, next in the milk chocolate category, the silver goes to Gansett Craft Chocolate for their 50% milk using beans from La Convención, Achuncho from Peru. So Dustin, do you have something you want to say about this?
I like the texture of this bar too. The creaminess of it was really nice. Backstory about this one, we were a little bit worried. It arrived and the box was hot. It's like warm. The delivery came and I got from the car and it was warm. So they had delivered it. They had put it on their seat or something. I don't know. So I'm like messaging them frantically, like, oh no, I don't know if you're chocolate. So we kind of like had to look at it and make sure it was going to be okay to be able to be judged and all that. But apparently it's fine because it's an award winner. So even going through all of that, so taking care of the chocolate before it arrives and when it arrives and all that is, as a chocolate maker, it makes me paranoid and I worry and I take care of these things like they're my own children. So
yeah, everything has to go to Batesville, Kentucky, and then it has to go to New York and all these other places.
Come to Eastern Kentucky and Appalachia, and you never know how it's going to get here. But I try to make sure it's here in good condition. So
I want to make one quick point if I can here, and this is about awards judging. So as somebody who's a data geek, I really appreciate it when the makers provide as much specific information about the beans that they're using. So this is not just a Peruvian origin, but it is from La Convención, which I'm going to assume is the farmer, the cooperative. It's in the Cusco region of Peru, but it's also a Chuncho variety. One of the things that I'm trying to understand is, for example, in this competition, Coco Camilli is the #1 entered bean. Right? So what does that mean? So what are the trends in terms of producing countries that people are using? So it's when you do enter a bean and when people are organizing competitions, I try to encourage everybody to provide as much information as possible. And Leon, that's one of the things that I loved about the label on your bars. It said Hainan cocoa, right? So we could talk about Chinese cocoa, which is unusual. The more we know about this as a judge, the happier I am for all of that. So I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody for doing that. And being mindful of time, the gold goes to Cachot for their dark milk. Again, Coco Camilli, right? So, but using yuzu, which is a very, very, I'm guessing, polarizing, Dustin, polarizing flavor. So, Leon, tell us about that bar. Yuzu, I think of as Japanese.
Yeah.
So is there Japanese influence in what it is that you're doing?
Yeah. So this yuzu powder is actually sourced from Japan, from Izayaki province. So it's a major yuzu exporter in Japan. So actually the base of the chocolate is a 58% milk chocolate bar using cocoa cameli beans. And it's actually, that's the bar who won us the first International Chocolate Awards in 2019. And we really love working with the cocoa cameli beans, like the citrusy flavor. And whenever we develop a new flavor or an inclusion bar, we really try to add natural ingredients that can match the original flavor with the beans. So it's like a symphony. So one another makes a final combination a more beautiful treat instead of just hiding the beans flavor or let the beans flavor overpowering whatever ingredients we add into it. So it's actually a lot of effort to source the yuzu powder. And it's also my personally favorite bar of all of our chocolate.
So, so thank you very much. I mean, I'm a big yuzu fan, and I know how difficult it is to source pure yuzu. Again, if you're looking at a yuzu juice, it's usually adulterated with something else. But, you know, Dustin, one of the things I think that's really interesting, so if we were to look at other awards programs, there would be a dark chocolate, plain, and then a flavored dark chocolate category. And yet you have not made that distinction. Can you tell me what was your thinking about why you decided not to separate those two out?
So the first thing is feedback. That's what I'm thinking is, and then I tie it together of how to make a contest. So having a bunch of different awards is not the goal. So having a bunch of different categories, I just don't think it's needed for what we're doing. So I let flavored bars be together. And in the dark chocolate category, you don't see it as much, but in the milk chocolate category, you start seeing the flavors come in. The white chocolate category is full of flavors. And then I separated inclusions. So if it's something that is whole or not ground into the actual chocolate, not smooth in the chocolate outside of like just a regular unflavored nib, then it's an inclusion. And that's a way of making kind of a different type of bar that is flavored be into the contest. But yeah, I just wanted to put them all together. We're not here to say that this is the perfect bar, the perfect origin, the perfect way per se of just a regular milk chocolate bar or a regular dark chocolate bar. There's other contests that can take care of that. We're here to take care of how are you making your chocolate? Does this support what you're doing? In the case of this yuzu bar, going into it, I thought yuzu with that origin is just going to be too much like fruitiness and craziness all over. No, completely wrong. It complemented it amazingly. So it's finding that, helping that with the flavors and understanding that more than this very not exactly one dimensional. That's the wrong way to put it, but you know, like unflavored. I'm asking judges to do a lot of feedback, and if I get a lot of bars like that, it gets pretty tedious.
Well, but if I can jump in here, Justin, you know, in a young competition where you don't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entries,
and we never will,
right? Making very fine discrimination makes it much more difficult for the judging process, because what you're doing is you're saying here's a very small pool of bars in this one category. It's challenging, and I think that you're right. The purpose of this competition is different from the purpose of other competitions, and so throwing all of the dark chocolate, right, flavored and unflavored, into one category, and not worried about, you know, batch size. Is this a micro batch, or is this a, you know, produced in the country of origin? You know, none of that stuff. It's about more about the chocolate and not about the categories, which I think is really, really good.
And through the feedback, you'll be able to see like certain things, and sometimes things are too plain, so they didn't do well. You would think polarized because of the crazy ingredients, but more of plainness can polarize people too. It's like, oh, there's just nothing here for me. So it kind of works both ways, and to see that and get the feedback of that, I like them to kind of compete against each other.
Great. So before we jump into the next category, I want to acknowledge some comments. First from Kobe Slow Coco here in New York City. Thanks for inviting the wonderful behind-the-scenes interviews from the makers. Yeah, putting a face on it, prioritizing putting a face to the competition and allowing us to support the winners is, I think, an important part. I mean, certainly I am where I am because of the mutuality I have support people, they support me. This is the way this all works. So Kobe, I was in your factory as you were building it. And I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to visit the Bronx again. It's like a 2-hour journey from where I am, believe it or not. And see the new place as the factory currently exists. So from there, I want to say hello to Moises Esteves, who is connecting from Venezuela. 2020 was one of the companies that entered the competition. For one reason or another, was not a finalist, an award winner. But the fact is that Venezuela was one of the 8 countries, I believe, from which entries were received, Dustin. So a good international showing for a second-year competition. And then finally, from a food writer, somebody I know online, never met in person, she sent me a video yesterday that she got a copy of my book. Yay! That's good. Catherine McBride finds this whole thing fascinating, learning so much. Thank you. Can't wait to try more of these bars. More of these bars. Which ones have you tried, Catherine? Interested in knowing. And again, it's this mutuality. One way we can help each other is to purchase each other's bars. It's a learning experience, but it's also a level of support. So, Dustin.
Yeah, dark chocolate category.
Dark chocolate. Okay, you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so bronze.
Taking home the bronze is Moku with the 70% Otuma from Nicaragua. So smooth, so great. Maureen, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. My chocolate journey began in Nicaragua, so I really wanted to make a bar from beans from Nicaragua, but it took a long time for me to find some that I really liked. They're not as common, and I was looking specifically for a non-fruity profile, and because I think I've got that covered. And I just love these. They're really chocolatey, but there's something else there. Sometimes I taste a little cinnamon. Sometimes it's kind of woody, but it is really smooth. And I'm really proud of this bar. And I'm glad I can highlight Nicaragua and the beans from there.
So Maureen, is this are these Engelmann beans?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. The reason why is that there's going to be a connection to Engelmann and another winner here, and a real quick question. I don't want to go and do this. So with that, yeah, no, I've been to Nicaragua on a number of occasions. I worked with the people at Engelmann for their Academia de Cacao. I was the organizer of the original whole concept and ran it for a couple of years. And so
I'm hoping they'll do that again.
I'm sorry?
I'm hoping that they'll do that again.
So do I. I mean, obviously, everything closed down because of the pandemic, and they're waiting for things to open up. But I had an enormous amount of fun leading these classes. So for anybody, it's a week-long boot camp where you learned all about the technified version of post-harvest processing they did. So a deep dive into fermentation and what it all meant, and then 2 days of visiting farmers in northern Nicaragua. It was just a really fabulous physically taxing, because there's a very long hike we take as a part of this process. So it was a lot of fun, and I have a special place in my heart for Engelmann beans. Just wanted to make that connection. And so next, okay, Dustin, taking the silver in the dark chocolate category.
Yeah, it's 70% from the Philippines. That Jordan Chocolat. I probably didn't pronounce that right, so I'll let you take it away and talk about this chocolate bar.
So, Kjell, welcome from Norway. You're near Stavanger, I understand. Is that correct? So on
that is correct.
The west coast of Norway, the wet west coast, as you talked about it. So you were the only entry who used beans from the Philippines. So, and are these Davao beans? Is another part of the? So tell us, where is Mana and why the Philippines? And tell us about Norway and Norwegian food culture and how it informs your approach to chocolate making.
That was a lot of subjects, big task here. Let's start with cocoa beans.
You have 1 minute.
In 1 minute. So the Mana beans is from the Davao region. it's coming from quite a few small farms close to what was it called again? Forgot the name. There's Mount Apo National Park, and there's a company called Auro who collects the wet bean from the farms, and they ferment it locally for all these different farms. And for me, I've been doing bean to bar for a couple of years as a hobby, and now launching my business. This is the bean that everybody except for one person really says like, this is the best I've ever tasted. So that's why I wanted to send this one into the competition, because it's such a, I mean, Maureen talked about going for the not fruity in the Nicaraguan cacao. I was going for the fruitiness, and this really blew my mind the first time I tried it. When it comes to food culture in Norway, there's a lot to be said about local ingredients and local customs when it comes to food. My English wife is not so happy about all of them, but she still loves some of them. There's a lot to explore. In like the region where I live is known to be like the food plate of Norway, with lots a bit further south from me. It's like lots of farmland, really good beef, but also lots of fruit and berries. I'm working on a few things there with some more experimental flavors from the coast. So that will hopefully be launched in not too long.
Well, I have very, very fond memories, not just of cloudberries, right, but also of coffee and chocolate with Yetost. And so that Bruno's style cheese and chocolate is a very, very special place in my heart. And so, Kjell, it's wonderful. You joined us early. You've been here the entire time. I just want to thank you very much for being a part of today's presentation and for having the opportunity to be able to taste this bar. It was really quite special. So now for the winner, the gold award winner in the dark chocolate category, and Dustin.
Yep, the gold winner is Sweets Escalade at 70% Maya Mountain, Belize, dark chocolate bar that took home the gold in the dark. Very nice, very smooth, very enjoyable chocolate bar. Scored very highly. Just sometimes certain bars just highlighted, just they shine, and this was definitely one of them. It was a really nice bar. I can't really say anything else about it.
There were 5 other entries using Belizean beans, and I've visited Belize on a number of occasions between 2007 and 2010. Haven't been back, but I've eaten a lot of chocolate from made with Belizean beans, and there were flavors in this chocolate that I don't think I've ever tasted before from Belizean beans. And so one of the things about this that brought itself to my attention was that surprise. It was not what I normally expected from Belizean beans in a good way, right? And I think that that's something to be respected as a judge. I'm not looking for, this doesn't taste like Madagascar, therefore I'm going to mark it down. It's just, this is an interesting way to interpret Madagascar. And so that was one of the reasons why this particular bar, plus, texturally, it was flawless. I thought it was really good. And we have a video, and it's in Japanese, parts of it. And so, Dustin, you're going to let us know what Yichiro, is that correct?
Chihiro.
Anyway, what Chihiro has to say.
Hi, hello. My name is Chihiro. 私たちスイーツエスカリエは家族3人でチョコレートを製造している小さなお店です。父が中心となって超マイクロバッチでチョコレートを製造していますが、この素敵なコンペティションで素晴らしい賞をいただき、とても光栄です。クラフトチョコレートチャレンジの皆様、この度はこの機会に参加させていただきありがとうございます。まだまだ未熟ですが、 これからも頑張っていきます。ありがとうございました。Thank you.
Right. So basically, he was saying that it's a small shop that makes bean to bar chocolates, and as a family of 3, and his father is the head chocolate maker, and they make super micro batches. They're honored to receive the wonderful award, and to the people of the Craft Chocolate Challenge, thank you for this opportunity. That they're still growing and they want to continue to do their best, and to thank you very much. They also sent me a different message telling me that they had went to a Clay Gordon seminar in Tokyo about roasting, and they were super excited about getting his feedback and everything. And they said a special thank you to him for helping them improve their roasting to improve their chocolate, and that's how they could make a bar like this.
So, Maureen, this is the connection I wanted to make to Nicaragua, because I organize this Academy of the Cacao, and there's a Japanese ingredients, cocoa importer and ingredients in pastry in Japan called Tachibana. And Tachibana was at one of these academias, and then they invited me to Tokyo to give a series of classes of chocolate making. And apparently the father, right, and this is in June or July of 2017, was at my class in Tokyo, right, where so I had not made this connection. I didn't know anything about it, but it is just, you know, an example of just how small the world of chocolate gets, right, about the connections for it. And so it was really, really special for me to make that connection. Before we go,
they just sent that message this morning, so like nobody knew until like a few hours ago that they had that connection.
Right. So before we jump into the final category, and just to let everybody know, we're going to run a little long. So if anybody needs to jump, you know, please don't feel like you need to stay. We're of course going to, you know, we'd love to have you stay, but we are going to run a little long because there are some things Dustin and I want to talk about for next year before we leave, because there will be a next year. But what I want to do is I want to say thank you to Carrie-Anne Portland. So Jel, this is somebody you know, I'm guessing?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
One of my big supporters.
That's great. Well, thank you for being here from Norway, Carrie-Anne. It's a special pleasure to have you here. Mark and Yuri out in Colorado saying, not just for me, but also to Dustin, thanks for shining light on the competition. Dustin has done an amazing job building the community, and we're excited to participate. We're happy to have you as participants. From Katrina Licata, thank you for the opportunity to enter one of our bars. Their first bean to bar competition. We've learned so much about the process and about other makers out there, exactly what this was all about. And you'll be getting your feedback shortly. And for anybody who happens to be watching this, who was was in the competition, Dustin, are you going to be identifying the individual judges providing the feedback when you send the forms?
Not personally. They have a profile of who they are, and I can give that to them, but I won't be identifying them personally. If somebody as a judge, like, you know, you've made clear to yourself that you're a judge, and I have made that clear too, if they want to say that, they can say that on their own, but I am not going to publish that. That is completely up to them, because some people want, you know, to remain in the back there and just be able to be honest and not have to worry about anybody's feelings. They just want to be honest, and that's what we want.
So I will say that if anybody gets the feedback, they may be able to recognize me very easily. But, you know, I have my copies of the feedback forms, and so if you have particular questions you want to ask me, anybody can email me, and I would be happy to respond.
Anybody can email myself, and if it's for a judge that, you know, I can connect to get some clarification on something, I don't mind to do that. I cannot confirm that I can make that necessarily happen, but I will try.
Right. So absolutely. I mean, that's what we're here. It's all about, you know, improving every one of us. So for me, this was a very different judging experience. I learned about pacing and judging and organizing the competition because somebody else wasn't organizing the order of tasting for me. So it was a very different experience, and I learned a lot in the process of doing it. Also learned a lot working with Dustin on the guidelines and the things like that, and ways that we can improve them to make the judging experience better, not only for the judges but for the participants for next year. And now into the overall awards. Dustin, I'm going to let you do the honors here, but so overall bronze is so. Please explain.
Yeah, I'm going to explain the top overall and what it means.
Yeah.
So top overall basically is all of the entries combined to one. So you get a score. So it's the top 3 scores out of all of it across the board, whether dark, milk, white, inclusion. So these are the best of the best.
Okay.
So
So every single one of these has already been mentioned.
Yes, that's kind of how it has to kind of play out because of the categories that we have. So yes, you've already seen them, but they will be highlighted even more.
Gotcha. All right. And so in the overall winner in bronze position is
Kesho with the 56% yuzu dark milk chocolate. It was amazing. And like these are super close, like especially the top overall are even closer. Like, it's just amazing to get to that part. And this was an amazing chocolate bar. I am happy that I've got to taste it. And now my wife is Japanese and I probably have to figure out how to find some yuzu powder myself. So.
Right. So Leon, you've had a chance to speak on a couple of different occasions. We're running towards the end. You've already spoken about this bar, and so I want to say again, yes, a pleasure to taste this as well. And this is news to me. I didn't know until Saturday, Dustin. You didn't let me know. I mean, I put together this presentation from things that you sent me. I mean, I didn't know what these were myself
until I sent you the pictures of the award with the So
So this has been fun for me. So in the silver position overall is
top overall silver is blue spruce chocolate. At white caramel chocolate with roasted hazelnuts. Again, just like one of those bars. So it was an amazing chocolate bar, like I mentioned before, and it did really well to get to silver.
Great.
So congratulations from the bar.
We haven't heard from Mark and Yuri. They sent us a video, and so we're going to play that. We didn't play it earlier. We waited for now to play it.
I'm Mark Joyce, welcome to Blue Spruce Chocolates here in Kittredge, Colorado. This is my wife, Yuri.
Hi, I'm Yuri Wadling. Kittredge, Colorado is located in the foothills west of Denver, just about 15 minutes up the road from the famous Red Rocks Amphitheater in Morrison, Colorado.
Let us show you our shop.
My wife and I became fascinated by the chocolate making process after visiting a cacao farm in southern Belize in 2012. After retirement, we decided to try our hand at making our own chocolate. How hard could it be? We quickly found out. We started with Yuri's Vitamix and then quickly realized the need for specialized equipment. After years of working on our recipes and processes, we opened a new factory and have been trying to meet demand ever since. We strive to provide fair value by supporting wholesalers who operate transparently and have quality long-term partnerships and who pay higher prices to producers. We strive to minimize their environmental impact throughout our process. Yuri and I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to enter the 2023 Craft Chocolate Challenge. We were delighted to hear the news that our white caramel chocolate was finalist in the inclusions category. We wanted to thank Dustin for having organized the event, Clay for having brought attention to the event, and finally Nancy for his exquisite taste in cocoa butter. Thank you very much.
All right, so
great bar, and there's just a bunch of great makers in this contest. I really enjoy seeing the growth of craft chocolate. It's amazing.
Right. So one thing I will say, just because I can, is that for people who do not know this, for Chocolate Life members, every month I have a members AMA call, and I do it on the third Sunday of the month. So if you're a member, you'll get a newsletter. There will be a Google Meet link. And I've had a chance over the course of the last 6 months to develop a relationship with Mark. He's been a regular visitor in these in the calls. We've had a chance to talk about a wide range of issues around cocoa and chocolate making. So it's been a pleasure for me to do this. I could tell you as a judge, I mean, it becomes a challenge. These bars are not de-identified. I mean, we can see who the makers are, because one of the things that we're looking at is, packaging. We want to be able to talk about the packaging and what it all means, and our thoughts on them as well. As a judge, it is an especially difficult challenge to separate out the personal relationships and say, I am focusing on the chocolate and I'm giving this feedback based on the chocolate, not based on the relationship that I have with whoever makes it. This is an issue with every competition when the bars are not completely de-identified, which is most competitions. You can look at it and go, oh, I recognize that name on the mold. And so it's an issue all the way around.
Yep. And for what I do, because I select the judges, I keep that in mind. And, I'm picking judges and balancing everything out. So I know some of the judges are not going to know these makers for the most part, right? So I keep that in mind, is where, there's really no bias going. Before this contest, had you had any of these makers, Clay? Have you had any of their chocolate before?
So the answer to that question is the only chocolate that I had tasted from any of the makers was a version of this white chocolate, caramelized white chocolate without the hazelnuts. And I had two different versions of it, one with the conventional sugar and one with this special Dutch sugar. But other than that, I was aware of many of the makers. These are names that I'm familiar with, but not necessarily chocolate that I had ever tasted. So it was, and again, I think that one of the things that we're going to try to improve, and I think that's one of the things that Dustin does, is that when you look at the judge profile, it will say, their favorite beverage and their favorite kind of food, and what their relationship is, or what they do. And I think that disclosing these biases in advance is important, so what it is that the judges are looking for. I've said that, as a judge, my favorite category to judge is the flavored white chocolate bar category, right? Or with inclusions, just because, number one, because most judges don't like to judge that category, right? But because it's all about playing with flavor and delivering flavor, using the chocolate as a vehicle for delivering other flavors. For me, there's a playfulness in the category that I really enjoy. It's like my nightmare is to be in a judging competition where there's a flight of 9 different chocolates, all 70% 2 ingredient from the same producing country, right? Where you're just looking at just, really, really tiny differences in, in flavor that become just mind-numbingly difficult to separate. So it's fun for me.
And when I see this, I see your preferences, and then I know the chocolate maker, and I'm like, okay, so Embers is going to really match Clay. I'm like, Clay should probably like all of their bars. I'm like, this is probably going to be a perfect match here. So if I can figure that out, some of these chocolate makers can probably figure that out too. And knowing this information going in is a unique thing for a contest. So because we put that before the judging happens. So it's a good way to kind of see what you're getting into.
And so finally, the overall gold, right? And so
top overall, Sweets Escalade and the 70% Maya Mountain Belize. Just amazing. The texture, everything about this was just such an amazing chocolate bar across the board. Like you have to get the gold, you have to really do well across all the judges. We only have 11 judges this time. Season 1 had 14. I had makers send more bars last year than this year. So we're not dealing with a whole huge group of judges. So you have to do really well throughout the whole thing to get the top overall. So that's congratulations to them. Fantastic bar.
Congratulations to all of you for being here and a part of this. It's been fabulous to do this. And what I wanted to point out about this, Dustin, there was something I wanted to say in what you were just talking about, and it completely slipped my mind. So hopefully it will get back to me over the course.
When we're talking about the makers in this too, the ones that didn't win the awards, we're still really good chocolate. So and that's the thing about our contest that's different from other contests. Other contests, you meet a threshold and then you get a sticker. It's either a bronze, silver, gold, something if you meet a certain threshold. We don't. You have to be top 3. 4 could be a gold in another contest. That's it. And that's fun. We're not just doing it for the competition. We're doing it for the feedback and stuff as well. It's a fun, different take on all of it. So I like that, and I'll be sending out those awards pretty soon.
And the feedback at the same time.
And
What I forgot and I wanted to remember importantly is that every single one of the judges was asked to spend a lot of time thinking about the packaging, right? But the feedback associated with the packaging was not a part of the overall score, right? The overall score was only about the experience of eating the chocolate.
Yep.
Right. So really, 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 really importantly. And it was fun for me, and starting. So normally I just get little pieces of chocolate with, in little bags or just on a plate. And so having a bar and being able to go through the entire unboxing experience, right, before and then having a chance to smell and look and see everything was just an enormous amount of fun as a part of the process. As a way of getting.
That's what it needs to be, because let's say I make a fantastic chocolate bar, but my packaging is horrible and people are not enticed by it, then they'll never know that the chocolate is great. Yeah. So it's just a big part of the overall business. Like you can put a shiny sticker on it if you put it in an award, get an award for it, and if it's still not a great package, maybe that shiny sticker helps it some, but overall that's not going to help you as much as understanding how to get people to get your bars off the shelf, and then they can have that experience, and by the judges having that experience they can relay that to you what you need to think about. That's the purpose. That's what I want to do, and I'm judging judges, so I'm figuring out who I feel judged. I can take.
I feel judged.
Yeah. So you did a great job. So fantastic. You wrote a lot.
Again, I felt it was what you were asking us to do.
Yes.
And so I felt it important to do this. Whereas in a normal judging procedure, if you've got 9 different chocolates you need to put together in an hour and you've got to evaluate it in a specific kind of way, feedback is the last thing you have an opportunity to do.
Yeah. Right? Impossible scenario.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to get through all 9 pieces and then go back if you have time, right, to go and enter the feedback. We're way past the hour. So Dustin, we're going to power through the end of it. So number 1, there's going to be a 2024 competition, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
season 3.
All right. So Dustin and I have been talking about the timing. So number 1 is we're going to start. Dustin is I'm presuming the we looking to start promoting this in September, October of this year, right, with a judging that's going to be happening in March of 2024. So what we want to do is open this up and give people a lot more time to enter.
Yeah, definitely. And also some international entries. When it's too hot in other parts of the world, it's hard for them to send chocolate. So opening it up and having it longer, I can take care of the chocolate. I'm taking care of my own chocolate, so I can just keep it. That's perfectly fine. The last couple seasons, I've had to have the entries kind of here at the beginning of January, and we judge it in February. It's not ideal. It was just my personal schedule with different things going on. So hopefully we'll do the cutoff after Valentine's Day, so all the chocolate makers can get through Christmas and Valentine's without having to worry about a contest and things like that. So we'll give them time to recoup, and then by the end of February have all the chocolate in, and then sometime in March be able to judge them. Also, the weather's a little bit better, so maybe we can tie into having more things at the inn. Eastern Kentucky is not the best place to try to travel on windy roads if there's snow, and there's really not a close airport. So to figure out how to get more people here would be great. I think March also opens that up. So we're looking to definitely do March, but start promoting it September, October, and with some other special parts of the contest too.
Yeah, so one of the special parts of the contest as part of the launch for next year, what Dustin and I are going to be doing is we're going to be offering a tasting program. But we're going to be reaching out to every single one of the winners in this year's competition and purchasing bars from you. We're not asking you to donate the bars, but we're asking to purchase the winning bars. And then what we will do is we will offer a limited number of seats at a live interactive tasting event. And that we will ship the chocolate to the people who want to participate, and they'll be able to join us. And of course, you as the makers will also be invited to join in that tasting. So we can have this kind of conversation around the bars again. Right? So again, it's important. We're not asking you to give us the chocolate, right, as a part of your marketing budget. That what we're going to do is we're going to price the tasting so that everybody gets to participate economically in what it is that goes on. So we're going to try to limit this to about 40 participants, plus Dustin and me. So it's not huge amounts of chocolate that people have to think about, but it's one of the things that we're looking forward to do. And that will be timed at around the launch, sometime in September or October of next year, just to get people excited about what happened in 2023 and excited for 2024.
Yep. And then other things we'll think about is how we have entries coming in from year 1 to year 2. We changed the amount of entries and per category. We have to max this out at some point. We're not going to take all the people who send chocolate. We're not going to make a bunch of different categories for awards. We're not, there's no fee. There's no incentive for us to do that. What we want to do is provide the best feedback. That means we have to limit the amount of bars. So that might be, okay, only one maker can send 1 bar. However it grows, we're going to grow organically with it and make sure we do it the best way to help the chocolate maker and to have a healthy context. So it needs to work both ways, where it's good competition and also it's good for the makers, because we want the seal, we want the award to mean something. So we want it to be up against the best chocolate in the world, but we want to be helping chocolate makers at the same time. So sometimes that doesn't exactly equal out, but we don't know exactly where that line is, and we don't want to exclude people. So,
yeah. So this is a conversation that Dustin and I've had, off and on for the last 4 months, right? And it's a conversation that we'll continue to have, and it will evolve as entries show up. One of the things that you might have gotten a feeling for people who have been talking early, who joined us early, is that Dustin mentioned that coffee was a very, very common flavor entry, but it was also a polarizing entry. There were people who really didn't like coffee. And so one of the things that I know about my responses to some of the flavors is that when we talk about what the best is, and we talk about the way judges, there's really no way in the current judging structure to think about innovation. So, for example, when I was a judge at the Good Food Awards one year, we had this opportunity in my table to say, listen, we have somebody who's doing still yet another really good salted butter caramel, right? And then somebody who's doing marzipan, right? But flavoring it in just a way that none of us had ever seen before, right? And so what are we going to do? Are we going to award really good salted butter caramel, the 4th or 5th or 6th that we had seen that day? Or are we going to,
I think she had to go.
Yeah. Or are we going to award the marzipan? And so we had this conversation as a group at the judging table about what we wanted to value in this part of the competition. And so one of the things that Dustin and I have been talking about for everybody is we've been talking about adding another category after just saying we don't want to add a whole lot of other categories, but specifically talking about innovation, right? So what flavor combinations, texture combinations did we as the judging group think were innovative, right? And maybe they might be ones that didn't win, right? Because again, polarizing among the judges. But the whole idea is to reward people who are doing perhaps risky or other kinds of work in a way that are not necessarily recognized by other competitions. So Dustin, do you have a few things you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so 100%. the innovation award would be kind of, I believe it would try to make it separate from everything else. So it might be a award where we're looking for a sponsor for it, where it kind of stands out on its own, because that's exactly what your chocolate bar is doing. It's standing out on its own. So we want to kind of take that approach with how we add that award to the program, because like I said, I don't want to add a whole bunch of awards. I don't really see the value in that for what we're doing, but innovation is very important, and I think it's very important in craft chocolate. And if that bar can never win anything because of how polarizing it is, or if it wins, it like blows everything out of the water. Like, it's really hard to gauge that, but we need to understand that that's the reality that we're in, and we don't want all these like cookie cutter chocolate bars and like this has to be this way and this has to be that way, and oh, this bean was really popular in these past competitions or past years, so I'm going to use this bean. Not exactly why we're here. So we want to try that, and Clay brought that to my attention about doing another award like that, and we went back and forth a little bit about our different opinions, and I think we're good about where we're at now with it. So that is exactly what I want for this contest. And if other people have ideas and different ways, I would love to hear them. I mean, this is not about me. It's about the whole craft chocolate industry and what we're doing to make it the best it can be. And we will try to make it that. So.
All right. So with that, Dustin, I want to thank you. Chell, I want to thank you for participating here the entire time. Before we close down this afternoon, just a quick couple of notes. There have been some comments. Mark and Yuri in Colorado, we second what Katrina had to say about getting the feedback. Absolutely. That's on you now, Dustin.
Yep.
I know you've got travel. I know you got travel plans. You're going to get it done before you head out. From Diane at Zise in Southern California. Appreciate your time and care, Diane. It was again fabulous to be able to taste your work and have the privilege of providing feedback. To Moises of 2020 from Venezuela, thank you for being a part of the competition, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about what we as judges had to say about your work, because this is something that never happens. I mean, as judges, we don't ever get feedback from the people that we're judging, right? So this is a really interesting opportunity to, like, you guys agree what it is that we had to say and why not, right? So that's a conversation we want to have. Tandy from Embers, they're in the Phoenix area. Congratulations to everyone. Absolutely. I can't wait to buy some bars and do my favorite part of research. Absolutely. My favorite part of the research as well. Chell, how easy is it going to be for you to get any of these bars?
Not a problem at all.
Okay.
It's both I mean, both because of my English wife, I do get quite a lot of chocolate from the UK, and there's a few good places there. I have a sister who's actually currently in Japan, so she travels a lot and always brings back chocolate. So, and obviously you can almost order anything online nowadays. So,
absolutely. So
we should probably mention that we have the judging sheets online, so people can.
So for people who are watching, one things that you can do. So, for example, Catherine McBride, who was here earlier, I don't know if she's still watching, but if the judging sheets are online, Dustin, what you can do is you can go purchase any of these bars, and then you can judge them using the same forms and the same guidelines that we judge them, and then you can send your judging forms off to Dustin, right? And then what we'll do is we'll keep track of everybody's feedback, and so we can see how we as judges did compared with the general public, whether other people like what it is that we had to say about what it is that's going on.
That too, and I pick the judges. So if there's somebody that's consistently doing this, and I see that they're doing a good job and they're taking it seriously,
and providing good feedback,
providing what I'm looking for, and doing that for maybe a couple seasons or something like that, then they're on my radar. And everybody wants to get a bunch of chocolate in the mail to taste. I mean, come on. So it's a way to kind of get into what we're doing. You don't have to be a certified judge. We don't want you to really be a certified judge. There'll be some that I pick because that's how I'm going to balance out the whole panel. But the majority of the judges are not going to be certified judges. We want your personal palate. We're looking for that, and then we need to know how you can express that and there's a whole lot to it, but if I can see that you're doing it and you're interested, then makes it possible one day. So you have that. I will take down the entries page after this, and I'm going to do like an alum page listing all the makers and links that have done season 1 and season 2. But you can easily get on Instagram and on our Craft Chocolate site on Instagram and see which bars were entered if you want to. So.
Good. Right. Just a really quick thing. Catherine is still watching, and she says she's still here. I did this. It was fun. Catherine, love that. I think it's great. Again, just a way to grow the community. Before we close down, I want to mention to everybody that this is the homepage of the Chocolate Life. All right, now it is live. For every single one of these live streams, I do put together a post. Here is the post for today's live stream. It includes the links to watch this. I don't know if I haven't seen anybody from LinkedIn here, so I don't know if it actually went live on LinkedIn. I'll have to go check. But in any event, I am going to be posting some other resources here. So here are some links to the Chocolat Inn page, the entry page. We did an intro video a couple of months ago. So there's a link here to that video. Dustin, if you'd like, I can have, so do you have one generic page that people fill in, or are you doing a different page for every single?
It's a generic one, so you can download it from the site and you can post it there, or however you want it. So
I will put it here. There's some other there's at least one other video that didn't make it into today's live stream, and so I will post that video here. And if anybody has any comments or questions, what they can do is there is a comment form. You need to be a member of the Chocolate Life. Chell, thank you very much. You've been a premium member of the Chocolate Life for quite some time now. Thank you very much for support. Catherine joined recently. So just click on the join button and support me however you can. I appreciate it. And with that, I want to thank Dustin for organizing this, inviting me to be a part of this. I want to thank Chell for his participation, his smiling face this entire hour or so. And congratulations on your bar winning today. And to remind everybody that we'll be back in 2024 for another version of the Craft Chocolate without an E, Craft Chocolat challenge. Gotta remember that.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
It's just it's like I always want to put that E in there. But in any event, we'll be back next year. And to remind everybody that if you're working with chocolate and you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And I hope, if nothing else today, you get out of the fact that working with chocolate is a lot of fun. Ciao, everybody. We'll be back here on the Chocolate Life Live in a couple of days. And in the meantime, have fun. Ciao, everyone.